In this video, I'm going to show you 9 military benefits that nobody talks about, and these are the kinds of benefits that helped me go from a negative net worth to a millionaire in 5.5 years, so I would tune in. Benefit number 1 here is the Military Lending Act, MLA, which is basically just a way to get some benefits and whatnot on your loans, but in this situation, it waives credit card fees on things like your Amex Platinum or maybe your Chase Platinum rewards. And this is very beneficial because if you're going to be doing some travel and whatnot, you can use your Amex Platinum to rack up some of those miles and points to utilize without having to pay the annual fee, which is a couple of $100s that you get to save simply by being military. Now, I'm not going to tell you need a credit card. If you are going to get a credit card, be responsible, pay it off every month. Do not let it destroy your finances. Use it to build credit, use it to earn points for things that you're going to buy anyway and pay it off at the end of the month. Do not roll a balance. But credit cards, the Amex Platinum can be valuable. I might actually have a link for referring you to it. If I do, I'll put it in the description for this video, but either way, they're beneficial. I have several of them and they've been very useful, but they were much more fun for me to use when I was still active duty and I did not have to pay the annual fees. Benefit number 2 here is the Service Member Civil Relief Act, which is the SCRA, and this is basically an act that says, hey, debt that you had prior to joining the military, cut to 6% interest. So if you have a credit card, they cut your interest rate. If you have an auto loan, they'll cut your interest rate. If you have, if you have debt, the Service Member Civil Relief Act will help lower those payments to a slightly more reasonable option for you when you're joining the military. Now, there are a lot of banks, financial institutions, and others that will work with you on this even while serving, but that is a benefit, not something you're entitled to. See, the SCRA really is meant for debt and payments that were accrued before you chose the calling and joined the military. So if an institution is working with you to, hey, you get a new line and then they imply SCRA benefits, that's great and you should absolutely appreciate them for that, but it is not something that they are obligated to do. So do not go and act entitled if they're going to tell you no, sorry, we're not doing that right now. A lot of these institutions do that kind of stuff to be nice and helpful and try to, really work with service members and vets, but they're not obligated unless it's prior debt. So definitely read about the Service Member Civil Relief Act, and your recruiter can help point you in the right direction for how to use this. Number 3 is your Space A travel. This is essentially the ability to hop into an airplane and travel around for free. Now, this is available for active duty. This is available for spouses of active duty. This is available for disabled veterans. There's a lot of different instances where you can hop into travel. Now, this is not the same as booking a flight and knowing you're going to be on it. You're kind of flying in standby mode. So you kind of got to show up and hope there's room for you. And if not, go to the next one. And so I would say, if you're going on leave, you could use this to get back to the US if you're out of the country. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for coming home on your last day of leave, because if you miss that flight, your command is not going to be like, oh, cool, you're going to be UA, meaning unauthorized absence from leave because you didn't actually pay for a flight, right? They're not going to, you don't want to play that game. But Space A, I did a whole video on it. It's very beneficial if you know how to use it. Definitely take a look. Now, benefit number 4, I'm putting in here as state-specific benefits. So every state has their own set of benefits. I actually just did a video on the best states for veterans to move to. And so, for example, and I'll just read this out, Texas has what's called the Hazelwood Act, which covers up to 150 hours of tuition on top of your GI Bill. And then they have the Texas Veteran Land Board, which helps you buy land with 30-year fixed loans and low down payments. Other states have college benefits. A lot of states waive property taxes for disabled veterans. A lot of them waive DMV fees for disabled veterans with registering your vehicle. Just look up your local state and see what benefits are afforded to active duty and veterans, because there are a ton of them, and you want to make sure you're maximizing that. Benefit number 5 is the ability to transfer your GI Bill. And I would like to just stop here for a second and explain something. You can only transfer your GI Bill after you've served, I believe, when you're doing your second reenlistment. So I think it's 8 years. There's a marker there. But essentially, when you get ready to reenlist, your career planner, they will ask you if you want to transfer your GI Bill, and you actually have to sign a piece of paper saying yes or no. However, these people are not always incredibly well versed in how to explain this. So I'm going to walk you through this because this can help you avoid a mistake that I made and regret. You see, when asked if you want to transfer, in my head, this meant that I had to decide yes to transfer my GI Bill to my son and say, here's my GI Bill, I can no longer use it. And that's just not the case. You can say yes and then select what percentage. And so here's the kicker. If I say yes and I transfer 1% to my son and 1% to my ex-wife, wife at the time, right? And 1% to my then stepson, that's 3% of my GI Bill. I still have 97%. That unlocks transferability. And that means that at any given point from then, I can say 30, 30, 30, 10, or I could say, you're going to school, you get the full thing because you guys didn't go to school, right? You can mix and match percentages at that point. But if you say, no, I don't want to transfer it yet, you will not be able to transfer your GI Bill benefits until the next time you re-enlist for 4 years, meaning 3 years down the road, maybe when you go to re-enlist at that point, or a year down the road, if you're hell-bent on doing this, you could then re-enlist 1 year later just to extend enough to transfer your GI Bill. So when you get asked about transferring your GI Bill, if you have anybody in your life, children, wife, whatever, husband, that you may be interested at some point in transferring to, go ahead and say yes and transfer 1% to them, because at that point you can shuffle. But I got stuck because I did not, because I was under the impression that it was a full or no. So I said, no, I'll do it later, not knowing I had to do it during a reenlistment, even though I planned on not reenlisting at the time. And so that was going to be my last term, and it was. So the whole reason I went into the Marine Corps Reserves was to be able to transfer my GI Bill to my son. And then, unfortunately, that didn't pan out, and so something lapsed at one point, and it triggered, and boom, I can no longer transfer my GI Bill to my son, which is very unfortunate. Now, luckily, because of VA benefits, my son is still going to get taken care of, but it's not the same, and I now have a GI Bill that I don't know if I'm ever going to use, and it's kind of just getting wasted right now, which is very unfortunate. Benefit number 6 here is SkillBridge, which is a paid internship while still serving. I did this on my way out, and I currently have a couple of SkillBridge interns. So for what this means is up to 6 months, so 180 days, prior to your end of active service, your EAS, if your command says yes, you can go work an internship. Now, there are some cool internships out there, like Microsoft has one, Amazon has some, there's even an internship at the White House. Like, there are some cool SkillBridge opportunities. And the whole point of this is that it allows you the opportunity to kind of transition into, like, you go through this school and whatever with the intent that you might get a job offer at the end to help set you up for a smooth transition out of the military. For reference, I currently have a SkillBridge intern working with us who we are going to be bringing on as a social media director, and she's going to be doing a lot of our content and local, admin and help stuff. And she was a public affairs person in the Air Force, and so she's getting to transfer that last 6 months in the Air Force. She's been doing an internship with us, and now she's going to have a job when she leaves for a smooth transition, which is a really cool program. Now, the flip side, if you're listening to this and you are an employer, the SkillBridge program is epic because it means you can get a service member who's on their way out of the military, and you're legally not allowed to pay them because the military is still giving them full pay and benefits. And so you can't pay them. You're under no obligation, and therefore you have a great intern who's probably fairly quality, who might be potentially stepping in to work with you, and you don't have to pay them, which is pretty cool. And it's not because you're screwing them, it's because they're still getting full pay and benefits from the military. Number 7 here is veteran prefaces in federal hiring. Now, this is actually same with like government contracting. There's special amounts of these contracts that are offered to veterans first, but hiring as well. Go to your local hiring agency for the city, county, whatever. There are a ton of opportunities where there are veteran preference for hiring, and you have some really cool opportunities to get employment and set up for success as a veteran. Benefit number 8, and we do talk about this sometime, is veterans disability compensation. This is the health care after service for any injuries that you received. We do have a partner that we like to point people towards. He's my good friend, Vic. So if you're interested in this, if you are about to leave service or if you're a veteran, scan this QR code. He'll help you file this. We are not in the business of telling people how to game the system to get, more than you deserve. We just help people ethically get to what their accurate reporting, which is what you really want, which is taken care of, right? And I can tell you as a disabled veteran, and I know someone's going to comment on here, you don't look disabled. That's great. Go violate HIPAA. I don't care. Look, the point is, I have seen some stuff, done some stuff, whatever. I've gone through the process. And as such, there's a lot of benefits, including Chapter 31, 35 benefits that I've put some videos out on. And some of this stuff helps take care of my family after service. In fact, my child is under CHAMP VA, which is VA healthcare. And benefit number 9, which you all know and love if you follow this channel, is the VA loan. Now, this is the single best primary residence mortgage in the entire world. You can use it multiple times. There's a way to do this. I teach a training on it every week, but if you'd like an introduction to a real estate agent or a VA lender who can actually help you out, I'll drop another QR code there. I'll also drop the link down below for both the disability claim and the VA loan and any of these other resources that I talked about. But This is a lot of what started my entire channel, is helping service members and vets understand how to utilize their VA loan in a way that actually will impact your finances for the better. This is what our channel does. We help service members and vets maximize benefits and achieve wealth, right, through using your VA loan and all these other benefits. And so if you'd like more information on it, we've got entire playlists. I'm not going to deep dive it right here, but suffice it to say, there's no better mortgage product out there than the VA loan. And anyone who tells you otherwise just doesn't understand it. It's incredible. We'd love to help point you in the right direction. And if you'd like, I'll drop a link down below as well to register for that free training so you guys can come. I'll teach you all about it. I got a bonus, number 10 here, which is basically just using the military as a financial launch pad, right? I think the military sets us up for success in incredible ways. For example, you've got the TSP that the government will match. So you get a 5% matching contribution, which is a double on day one for your initial contribution up to that first 5%. We've got tax-free allowances like BAH and BAS that allow you to receive a higher pay without getting taxed on it, which hooks you up. We've got all the travel, the training, the networking, the space aid, the benefits, like there's a ton of other stuff as far as travel and adventure as well. And then we've got all the leadership skills and promotions and things that actually help set you up for success in the civilian world, especially the leadership skills and opportunities and the discipline and the drive and the everything else, right? There's a million ways the military sets you up for success. And if you haven't done so yet, I'd encourage you to read my book, The No BS Guide to Military Life, which is everything I wish I'd known when I first joined the military. You can go buy it on Amazon. You can go listen to it on Audible. I narrated it myself, but you can also just download a free PDF copy on my website and you can go check it out because we're just here to help point you in the right direction. So look, if you want to know how to actually use all these benefits, grab yourself a copy of the book, subscribe to the channel, and we'll teach you all this stuff as we go.